So when Luke writes that they find him in the temple, and he says, and they were astonished. You need to understand what the translation of that word astonished is. The Greek word is ekpleso. Ekpleso. We see the word astonished as surprise. That's not what it means. It means to strike a blow. It means to strike out. So I'm sitting there picturing, okay, the astonishment of Mother Mary is to clap Jesus one on the back of the head and say, where have you been? How dare you do this to us? And grab him by the ear and haul him out of the temple. All right, that might be an exaggeration. How many of you saw, because they are anxious, the word is translated anxious in the text, and the Greek word is odunao. It's not just anxious. It's not just Xanax anxious, okay? How many of you have seen Kramer versus Kramer? Anybody ever see that film? Okay, Kramer, Dustin Hoffman, is a brand new single father. And he is out in the park with his son. He's trying to figure out how to be a father. He's never done it. He's been absent essentially from his child's life. And Meryl Streep left him and said, I'm done with you. You're ignoring your son. Now you deal with it. So he is out in the park trying to teach his son how to ride a bicycle without training wheels. And the boy is just going, and he's riding along, doing a great job, and he falls. And he hits his head. And Dustin Hoffman's reaction to run in a panic, crying and screaming, holding his child in his arms, running through the streets of New York, looking for an emergency room. That's adonau. That's odunau. That is anxiety, that is pain, that is torment, that is grief. Picture that. And that is what Mary and Joseph are feeling when they finally find their boy. That torment, that grief, that pain, that, oh my God, I've lost my firstborn son. And when they find him, all of the gamut of emotions are there. But Jesus' response, in the 3 days, Luke loves 3 days, you get that? 3 days. And also, I want you to notice that when the answer, the very first words that Jesus says in this gospel are, why were you searching for me? That line is echoed. Can anybody tell me where that line is echoed? It's echoed by the angel sitting on the rock on the day of the resurrection. Who are you looking for? Why are you searching for him? He's not here. Luke echoes that same line at the end of his gospel. So why were you searching for me? Something profound has happened to this 12-year-old boy in these 3 days. He has been changed, radically changed. He has come to know something about himself and that he has not known before. Something that he has been compelled to stay and visit with while he is in the temple. He has come to realize something about himself and his relationship to God. All boys at the age of 13 are to be, as we do here, confirmed in their faith, bar mitzvah in their faith. Jesus is just a year shy of being confirmed as a man. Yet on this occasion, he has made a connection that he has not made before. Everybody seems to think that a priori, Jesus knew he was God on the day he was born. Jesus knew that he was God incarnate and had all of that a priori knowledge in his head. I find it very, very helpful to know that Jesus was just a as awkward as the rest of us were, was searching just as much as the rest of us were, was as insecure and self-conscious as the rest of us were, until he discovered something inside himself about who God was in his life. He discovered it at the age of 12. Some of the rest of us discovered it a bit later. This is when he makes this transition and says to his parents, don't you see, don't you understand that it is necessary for me to be in my Abba Father's house? I don't know how Joseph felt about that, but nevertheless, Jesus, the obedient Son, does not in that moment become what do you call it? What do you call that? The minor, emancipated minor. He does not in that moment become an emancipated minor. He goes home and is obedient to his parents and is raised up in his home in Nazareth. But he is changed. And he knows from that moment on that his life is going to be different every single minute. The Rabbinic Judaism says that boys at the age of 5 need to be learning Scripture. They need to be learning the Mishnah at the age of 10, and they need to be studying the Talmud by the age of 15. At the age of 13, boys are liable for their own sin. They need to know the law. By this time, Jesus is already versed in the law. He's versed in the Torah. He knows exactly what is expected of him in his religion, in his religious beliefs. How many of us knew at the age of 12 Scripture? How many of us knew at the age of 12 commandments? Some of us might have